Hey friends, Dave Trotter here with Awaken Magazine. Before we dive into this episode, I want to encourage you to subscribe to our podcast. So if you're listening on Spotify, Apple Podcast, or Amazon Music, click subscribe. Every platform's just a little bit different, but this will ensure that you get every single episode delivered right to your phone. And if you have just an extra minute, rate and review the show. That is a quick way to help us spread the word and help more people discover the incredible interviews that we release each and every week. All right, let's dive into this episode.
Welcome to the Awaken Magazine AI Conversations podcast with your hosts Micah and Aurora. Today's episode is based on our recent feature interview with Torie Smith. The thoughts and opinions shared today are generated by AI and not by the publishers of Awaken Magazine itself.
It is really a joy to dive into this one today. I think we are stepping into a story that is going to resonate so deeply with anyone who has ever felt like there is just more to reality than what we see on the surface. We are exploring the journey of Torie Smith.
Yeah, we really are. And this isn't your typical, sat on a mountain for 20 years and found enlightenment kind of story. Torie is known as the Empathic Gangster, which might just be the coolest title we've ever featured on a deep dive.
Oh, absolutely. It really is. She's a galactic channeler, but she's also a bartender based in Vail, Colorado.
Or, as she prefers to call it, a spirit advisor.
I love that so much. A spirit advisor who literally pours spirits.
Right. It's perfect. But what really grabbed me about this interview wasn't just the cool job title. It was the absolute speed of her transformation. I mean, we usually talk about awakening as this slow peeling of the onion process. But for Torie, it was instantaneous. It was 0 to 60 in one night.
It really challenges the linear timeline we often attach to spiritual growth, doesn't it? We tend to think we need to earn it through decades of discipline. But Torie's experience suggests that when the soul is ready, the shift can happen in the blink of an eye. It's a literal quantum leap.
So let's set the scene for this leap for you guys listening. It's just a regular evening. Torie has just finished reading The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer. And for those of you who haven't read it, that book is an absolute powerhouse for understanding the observer self right.
It is. It is essentially a manual for detaching your consciousness from the incessant chatter of the mind. So if we look at the conditions here, she has just spent time intellectually priming her brain to let go of mental limitations. She has prepared the soil, so to speak.
Right, she prepared the soil. She puts the book down, picks up her phone, and sees a prayer. And this wasn't just a basic bless this food kind of prayer. It was a very specific invocation designed to open the chakras to the highest communication of the universe. She says it out loud. And then she heads into the bathroom.
And this is where the mundane meets the mystical. A bathroom is such a humble human place. It's not a temple. But she's staring at a white wall, and suddenly the physics of her reality begin to dissolve. She realizes she isn't looking at a solid wall anymore.
She's seeing the energy moving.
Exactly. She is perceiving the fluid nature of matter.
And then comes the sound. She describes this auditory experience that was so physical, so visceral. She said it sounded like the bedroom ceiling literally crashed to the floor.
That detail gives me chills every time. If we look at that symbolically, the ceiling represents our limitations. It's the roof we put over our minds to keep the vastness of the cosmos out so we can feel safe and small. Hearing that ceiling crash, that is the sonic representation of the barrier being completely removed. The filter is gone.
And once that filter is gone, the floodgates open. She describes an immediate telepathic download. It wasn't subtle at all. She said she was bombarded with communication, but there was one specific message that came through clearly, and I really want to get your take on this.
Please, let's unpack it.
She shared this direct quote in the interview. She heard, quote, "Tell everyone we're coming, but it's not like you've been told."
It's not like you've been told. That is such a profound corrective statement. Think about the narratives we have around contact or higher beings. It's usually framed through Hollywood movies.
Invasions and fear.
Right. Dramatic landings on the White House lawn.
Well,
or it's framed through old religious dogmas of judgment and fear.
It's usually scary or overwhelming for sure.
Exactly. This message suggests that the arrival of higher consciousness, or the we that is coming, isn't an external invasion. It's not an Independence Day scenario. It suggests that our social programming has given us the wrong script entirely.
It makes you wonder if the we is actually us, like our higher selves finally coming online.
Precisely. It feels like an invitation to drop the fear and realize that this expansion is actually natural. It's a homecoming.
And speaking of homecoming, her reaction to this was just incredible. If my ceiling sounded like it crashed and I started hearing telepathic voices, I'd probably be halfway to the emergency room. But Torie, She walks out to the living room where her husband is playing video games with a headset on.
I just love that image. You have this massive galactic awakening happening in the bathroom, and 5 feet away, someone is playing Call of Duty. It's the perfect juxtaposition of the multidimensional and the 3D world.
She tells him what's happening. He's confused, obviously, but she wasn't afraid at all.
Yeah.
She said she felt like she was born and bred for this moment. She didn't feel crazy. She felt like her life finally made sense.
That resonance is the key.
Yeah.
That is how you distinguish a true spiritual emergence from a crisis. When the truth hits you, even if it is wild and defies all logic, your internal system recognizes it. It feels like sanity. It feels like, oh, finally, here I am.
She did have one moment of hilarity, though. She went back to the bedroom and put her sneakers on.
Because she wasn't sure if she was going to be physically abducted.
Right. She thought, if I'm going to space, I need good footwear.
Which is actually so grounding. It shows she was still present, still practical, even in the midst of this massive expansion. She wasn't dissociating, she was preparing.
So she doesn't get beamed up, she stays here. And she has to integrate this massive download into her life as a wife, a bartender, and a human. This leads to the creation of her persona, the Empathic Gangster. I love this name, but let's break it down. What do those two words represent when you put them together?
It is a brilliant synthesis. Empathic speaks to her high sensitivity, her ability to feel the energy of others, to channel, to be open to the universe. That's the feminine receptive side. But the gangster part, that's about sovereignty.
Sovereignty, that makes so much sense.
Yes. Often in spiritual circles, being an empath is equated with being a doormat. You know, I feel everyone's pain, so I'm exhausted all the time. The gangster energy says, I feel everything, but I am in charge here. It's about boundaries. It's about knowing who you are and not letting the environment dictate your state.
She roots this in what she calls galactic law. Now, that sounds sci-fi, but her explanation is actually incredibly empowering.
It is. Galactic law, in her view, is the principle that reality is a direct reflection of our belief systems. It's the ultimate feedback loop. We aren't victims of a random universe. We are projectors. We project our beliefs out, and reality reflects them back to us.
So the world is essentially a mirror.
Exactly. And she contrasts this with social programming. She suggests that the pain we feel, and she admits she had a lot of rage in her past, comes from trying to squeeze our infinite encoded truth into the tiny boxes that society offers us.
It's like trying to run advanced software on an old operating system. It just crashes.
That is a perfect analogy. And the friction caused by that incompatibility is what we call suffering. When she realized this, she shifted her entire perspective. She has this beautiful, quote, I really view life as a neutral mirror to perceive myself through.
A neutral mirror. That word neutral is doing a lot of heavy lifting there. Because usually when we look at our lives, we judge it. This is bad. This is unfair. Why is this happening to me?
Right, we attach stories to the reflection. But if the mirror is neutral, it means the reflection isn't a punishment. It's just data. It's just showing you what you are currently broadcasting. And this brings us to her teaching on neutrality, which I think is one of the most practical tools she offers.
She uses the TV screen analogy, which really clicked for me.
It is so helpful. She asks us to imagine watching a movie, but with our faces pressed directly against the glass of the TV screen.
You wouldn't see the plot at all. You'd just be blinded by the flashing lights and pixels.
Exactly. You are consumed by the sensory input. You are in the drama. That is how most of us live our lives, reacting to every pixel. Neutrality is simply the act of sitting back on the couch. You are still watching the movie. You're still feeling the emotions. You still care about the characters, but you have distance. You can see the context.
It's the difference between drowning in the ocean and standing on the shore watching the waves.
She actually uses that exact metaphor, land versus water. Emotions are the water. It's perfectly okay to swim in them. It's okay to play, to splash, to feel it all. But you need the land, your neutral observer self, to step back onto. If you don't have the land, you drown.
That distinction is so liberating for people who feel deeply.
Yeah.
It means you don't have to turn off your feelings to be spiritual. You just need a place to stand.
Precisely. And speaking of liberating, we have to talk about the vampire movie story. This was one of my favorite moments in the interview because it completely flips the script on what a spiritual person is supposed to do.
Oh, this was great. So her husband wants to watch a vampire movie.
Yeah.
And Torie's immediate reaction is the standard spiritual programming.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I'm an empath.
Yeah.
I can't watch scary movies. Is low vibration. It'll lower my frequency.
We hear that all the time. The idea that we must fragility shield ourselves from anything dark.
But she catches herself. She realizes that avoiding parts of reality isn't enlightenment. It's actually fear disguised as spirituality. So she decides to watch the movie. She decides to sit back on the couch, literally and metaphorically, and just observe.
And this is where it gets magical. She didn't absorb the darkness. Instead, she had a vision. She describes seeing black and white streamers representing the polarity of light and dark twisting together. And as they merged, they exploded into a shower of gold.
Gold. That's real alchemy right there.
It is true alchemy. And the message she received in that moment, congratulations, this is your induction ceremony.
Imagine that. Her spiritual induction wasn't in a temple. It was watching a vampire flick with her husband.
It is such a powerful lesson. It tells us that true wholeness involves accepting all of reality. If you are afraid of the dark has power over you. But if you can look at it with neutrality, if you can integrate it, it turns to gold. It proves that you can maintain your sovereignty anywhere.
Which brings us back to her spirit advisor role. She's bringing this sovereignty right into the bar. She talks about the science of water memory, Masaru Emoto's work, and how she applies that to alcohol.
I love this application. We know that intention affects matter. Water holds memory. And since alcohol is a spirit and mostly water, she realized she could encode the drinks she serves.
So instead of serving a drink with the vibe of, here's your poison, or hope you don't have a hangover, she's doing something completely different.
She is consciously encoding the liquid with abundance, with celebration, with love. She's changing the energetic signature of the substance before handing it over.
And she's not preaching to the customers either. She's not standing on the bar lecturing people about their chakras. She's just holding that frequency.
That is the gangster part again. You don't need to announce what you are doing. You just do it. She told that story about the chef, which I found fascinating.
The angry chef versus the happy chef.
Yes. The restaurant had a chef who is technically skilled but full of rage and stress. The customers didn't enjoy the food. Then they replaced him with a hippie kid chef who was dancing around the kitchen just happy to be there. And suddenly customers were asking if the menu had changed.
The recipe was the exact same. The ingredients are the same. But the energy was completely different.
It validates the idea that we consume energy, not just calories. It really makes you think about everything you consume, not just food and drink, but media conversations, everything. What is the intention behind it?
And it empowers you as the listener to be the chef of your own life. You can encode your morning coffee with clarity. You can encode your dinner with peace. We don't need to be professional channelers to do that.
Exactly. This leads perfectly into her concept of harmonic living. Because for all the talk of ceiling crashes and telepathy, her advice for the day-to-day is incredibly grounded.
It's beautifully simple. She says, if you're feeling overwhelmed, don't try to escape into the cosmos. Put your bare feet in the grass, hug a tree, let the sun kiss your cheeks.
Grounding is absolutely essential. You cannot be a bridge between heaven and earth if you aren't touching the earth. Torie shared that intense story about her past, about being a volcano.
Yeah, the basketball story. She talked about literally blacking out from rage during a game and physically taking another girl down by the neck. That is a massive amount of repressed energy.
It was energy with nowhere to go. She went from being that reactive volcano to someone who sees life as a puzzle. She's connecting the dots now. She moved from explosion to conduction, and she did it by merging the cosmic with the physical, the galactic law, with the bare feet in the grass.
It's so inspiring because it makes awakening feel completely accessible. It's not something that happens over there to special people. It's happening right here while you're pouring a drink or watching a movie or walking outside.
And it returns the authority to the individual. That is the core of Torie's message. Inner authority.
Trusting your encoded abilities.
Yes. We spend so much time looking outside ourselves for answers, asking gurus, reading books, listening to podcasts. But the message Torie received, it's not like you've been told, reminds us that the truth is already inside. The we that is coming is our own expanded potential.
It's a very comforting thought. We aren't waiting to be rescued. We are waking up to the fact that we are the ones we've been waiting for.
Beautifully put. Life isn't a series of random chaotic events happening to you. It is a neutral mirror showing you you. And if you don't like the reflection, you have the power to change the broadcast.
That is the ultimate empowerment. If you listening want to dive deeper into Torie's world, she offers what she calls galactic attunement. You can find her at empathicgangster.com. She has articles, services, and I'm sure plenty more stories that bridge the gap between the bar and the stars.
It is definitely a rabbit hole worth exploring if you are ready to own your reality and perhaps look in the mirror with a little more curiosity and a little less judgment.
And hey, next time you pour yourself a glass of water, maybe give it a little positive pep talk. Tell it it's abundant. See how it tastes.
It certainly adds a little magic to the mundane.
Thank you all for joining us on this deep dive into the wild, wonderful world of the Empathic Gangster. It's been a totally mind-expanding ride.
It truly has. What a fantastic conversation.
Be sure to subscribe to the Awaken Magazine podcast on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Amazon Music.
Stay curious, stay grounded, and always trust your inner authority. We'll see you in the next deep dive.
Goodbye, everyone, and take care.
Hey friends, Dave Trotter here with Awaken Magazine. Before we dive into this episode, I want to encourage you to subscribe to our podcast. So if you're listening on Spotify, Apple Podcast, or Amazon Music, click subscribe. Every platform's just a little bit different, but this will ensure that you get every single episode delivered right to your phone. And if you have just an extra minute, rate and review the show. That is a quick way to help us spread the word and help more people discover the incredible interviews that we release each and every week. All right, let's dive into this episode.